Have you ever asked yourself the question, what would I do with my business if life threw me a curveball that I wasn't expecting? Well, as small business owners, we know that we are the heart of our business, right? What happens if you're not there anymore? Are you ready? Are you prepared? Or what happens if life gets lifey and you lose a loved one or you get, God forbid, you get sick? There's so many things that we need to think about, and having a contingency plan and understanding how to prepare your business for those changes and challenges in life are extremely important. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I am the host of Creatives Rule the World, and I'm so excited to be here today with a longtime student and resiliency small business advocate, Erin Pelicano. She is going to be walking us through her 3-step process on how to prepare, adapt, and evolve as a small business owner when life gets lifey. We're going to dive into this episode in just a minute, but before we do, you're going to love this episode because we're going to be talking about all the things that you need to be thinking about if to set your business up for success in the event that something happens. So you're going to want to take notes on this episode because it's a good one. Yeah, so let's dive into this episode with Erin Pelicano. Well, I am so excited to have Erin Pelicano on the show today. And Erin is a longtime student of mine. She has gone through some pivots and career changes over the past couple of years. We're going to dive deep into that. And the question that we're going to basically chat about today, or the topic, is really about having resilience in business. Because what happens if the thing that you don't want to think about happens in your business, and what happens to your small business when those things happen? Erin, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Tracy. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
So Erin is in a couple of my master classes, and she's also featured in my programs. I wrote about her in my book because she is someone who built her business around family, or around very strong core values, which were, I love one of them. I always remember this, like, it's family and ice cream. Ice cream was one of your core values. Yes. I remember that.
I still love my ice cream every night.
I know, it's so delicious. And well, you reached out to me because you're sharing a little bit more about some of the challenges that you had over recent years. So why don't we start there and just talk about your jewelry business and kind of like what ended up happening? I don't want to be the spoiler alert.
Oh, it's been a wild ride the past few years. Well, I actually come from a background in engineering, which is, I think, unique. And that was my career up until 2011. That's my training. I'm wired to solve problems. I'm a math girl. But life circumstances, the industry I was in, and my family led me to launch my fine jewelry brand in 2011, sort of as on the side for fun, but it grew really quickly. And so it became our full-time family business. I started on Etsy, and then we expanded the brand, and it was great. I do have a passion for business, and I do think back that I probably should have gotten a degree in business instead of engineering. But I've realized in life, you can't always look back, because one of my dearest friends I met in my engineering program. But in 2020, when everyone was in the COVID panic, when that started, I was like everyone else. I was running a business. The entire world was shutting down. I had 3 kids in virtual school, one in elementary, one in middle school, and one in high school at the time. And so there were all of the normal, not normal, but normal to the entire world at that time, stressors of being a small business owner. A lot of uncertainty. We didn't know what was going to happen, both with customers and with our supply chains. But in the background, I was having a health crisis that I didn't even realize what was happening to me. It's okay. It's just been crazy. But I basically had some abdominal pain for like a year, and the doctors were like, "Oh, you're okay." I was really healthy, and I really am, except for this major issue. But long story short, it escalated in April of 2020, and the pain got a lot worse. I ended up that summer being hospitalized, and my summer unfolded like a slow motion nightmare is the best way I can describe it. And I had a massive infection in my abdomen. I was hospitalized for a week. It was COVID. No one could be with me. I basically had to be dropped off. And long story short, I had surgery on my 43rd birthday at Johns Hopkins. They said they needed to remove this part of my colon, and I had stage 3 colon cancer at 43 years old.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
with the symptoms I had, they kept referring back to it probably being an ovarian cyst, which a lot of women in their 40s have. And that was not the case. So it was horrific. I mean, there's really no other word for it. And our entire life was upended. And then, in fact, so I went through massive surgery, chemo for 6 months, complications, all the things. I had a recurrence. It did come back in my liver in 2022.
Oh my
And I
God.
had a second surgery. And I've been great since, knock on wood. I have a great medical care team between Hopkins and I go to Sloan Kettering just for second opinions. And
Mhm.
anyways, I'm really lucky. I live about an hour outside of DC, so we have great access to some of the top doctors. But it became where, I mean, my life was focused on survival, like literally my
Yeah.
survival and that of my family. But next behind that was my business. I mean, because that was our family's source of income. And so I think a lot of small business owners, not that everyone's going to have a medical crisis, and I hope that no one goes
Mhm.
through what I've been through. But
My
unfortunately, a lot of
sister,
people,
my sister recently had stage 3 colon cancer too. She's
she
in
did.
remission. Yeah, last year.
I did not know that. We may have to
Mhm.
finish this conversation when we're
Yeah.
done this recording. But I've met, unfortunately, a lot of people, and there could be a whole podcast about it. But there's this huge rise in people in their 30s and 40s and younger getting it, and it's really scary. And I was totally healthy. I mean, and I have no family history, so I basically had to work part-time in my business because my full-time job was trying to survive. I just really had a lot of time to think about many of things during
Mhm.
this period of time. But I realized that I really was not prepared. My business was not I was not mentally prepared for what happened to me.
Yeah.
So that aside, that's a whole nother topic. But in the frame of business, I was not prepared for what happens if I have a catastrophic medical issue. My
Mhm.
family was not prepared. So there were a lot of things that I've learned that could have been put in place for my business. And I know a lot of other business owners within the communities that I'm involved in different industries, that there are so many disruptions that can happen and can take a
Mhm.
business out if you're not prepared. And as much as you might really succeed in growing in a lot of ways, the latest advertising, the latest SEO, having great accounts and great clients and great customers, if at the end of the day you have an enormous crisis or challenge and you're not prepared for it, your business is not going to succeed. So my mission has shifted over time to
Right.
focus on that of business. And I've been an advocate for small business for a long time, not only owning a business. My husband actually also owns a small brewery in our local town. So
Mhm.
we are entrepreneur people. But I've met down on Capitol Hill with different legislatures about small business issues. So that's the
And you're going
evolution.
back, aren't you?
And I'm going back. I'm going back the end of May. I'll be there actually the beginning of May with the Chamber of Commerce for Small Business Day. And then I'll be back at the end of the month for more meetings with the legislatures on small business issues, which no matter what political side of the aisle anyone is on, you would think small business could be something that there
We
are a
can
lot of
unify
things that,
over.
yeah, that we can just find better ways to support small businesses. There's a lot in place I've learned for, say, if you have a natural disaster, that's really it.
I definitely think it's important. And one thing that I do want to mention, because like as we're recording this, everyone's up in arms about tariffs, and I just did a podcast about tariffs and trying to share my knowledge about it. And it's amazing to me how people just go up in arms because they can't listen to something that sounds like it's on a certain side or another instead of just
Right,
listening to facts. And,
right,
this is all information that's designed to help you. And the more that you can
right,
educate yourself on the real issues and like the factual information, the
right,
better you are going to be and survive. And I think that that's the thing that people are real, like people who are so inflamed by, I'm just sharing this. Like, if you're overly consumed with political ideology and
right,
it's disrupting your small business, take a look back and take a step back, because
right,
what I like to say is nothing is ever really as it seems. It's typically generally overly inflamed. And this goes for both sides, not
Right.
saying one or the other. You
Right.
have to really sift through to get the real information. And this is
Yes.
what I want to like, why I wanted to have you on the show today is to just talk about like, what are some of the things that are at risk for small business owners? And also like, how can we prepare for
Right.
a tragedy or something that's out of our, control? Like we have a health crisis or someone dies or a partner dies or something like that, that's
Right.
completely unexpected, or maybe it is known and it takes us out, right? Like takes us out of commission for a while.
There are a lot of things that are disruptors outside of something that feels more personal, like a health
Mhm.
crisis. I have a client who had their entire social media was hacked and
Oh,
taken
wow.
down. And when you have an online platform that's extremely disruptive, and it actually took a lot of time and reaching out to legislatures to even regain control. And so there are things that
Oh, wait, you had to help her get
yes,
help from the
because yes,
government to get back on?
yeah, lost total control really to be able to get one of these platforms. I won't name any on here
Yeah.
to
Reinstate.
intervene.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of the advertising history was lost forever. So you
Wow.
build your audiences, etc. So there are a lot of things that can happen. And as you know, probably in the jewelry industry, there are a lot of people who have retail spaces that they have
Mhm.
huge security issues, and there can be maybe a major disruption. So I don't want to be doom and gloom, like it's not just cancer, or
Right.
it's not just, there's so many things that can happen. And if we're not prepared and we're focused on the glamorous or the next shiny object,
Yeah.
really when something happens, do you have the resilience in your business to still get through it and succeed?
So let's talk about some of the things that could happen that people aren't really thinking about that we need to have top of mind for a resiliency plan.
So I think, based on my personal experience, number one, you do need to be prepared for if something happens to you as the business
Mhm.
owner, even if you could fall down the stairs and break your leg. There's just so many things you could do. Like, are you prepared for someone to take over your business for a short period of time, or a longer time? Or do you have enough systems in place that it is sustainable? So there's obviously a medical or crisis of that type. But then beyond that, I think that there are so many small businesses that
Mm.
have hacking and cybersecurity issues that take them down. And are you prepared for that? Do you have someone there? Do you have the systems in place do you have systems in place to protect you, number one? And then do you have systems in place if a breach does happen? So those are things, I think those are some of the most likely, right? But you never know. Life comes at us both personally and in business, and
Yeah.
you just are not always prepared. It could be a market shift, like I said, or it could be a safety issue or a security issue. So I think
Can I share
it
with you
feels
something that
scary. Yeah.
that happened with a friend of mine? He owns
Yeah.
a window company, and one of the
Mhm.
things that he was really passionate about is because a lot of elderly people get ripped off by these window suppliers, that
Yes.
he has this like ethical kind of window. They're like the best on the market for like the most affordable window things, because there's a lot of scams on the elderly, right? So
Right.
he had this business with a business partner, and they were building out all these franchises, and his business partner just keeled over and died one day with
Mhm.
like
No
no
plan to do
warning,
so, right?
no plan. They didn't even have key man insurance. And he was like, that was like the biggest thing.
Yes.
And their company
Yes.
obviously is a lot bigger than like probably, tens of millions of dollars they're making. But
Right.
it was a very big challenge for my friend, because like he spent 2 to 3 years trying to figure out like, how do I, he no longer has his business partner. So he's grieving that because they were best friends.
Right.
And now he's dealing with the business partner's family, and obviously he wants to do right by them, but then he's dealing with the issues of the business because now he's having
Right.
to pay out a salary for not getting work in replace, and then also trying to figure out some sort of settlement. And so depending on where you are, like things like keyman insurance or that sort of
Right.
thing could be really important in a position for thinking of contingency plans. Most people won't need that unless their business is they have a business partner or there's a key person and the business is at scale. But there are other types of insurances that you might want to take a look at. I don't know if that's something that you talk about too.
No, absolutely. Because there are disability insurance options, for
Yeah.
example, for small business owners. And most people don't have that in place, right? And you have to evaluate what makes sense for you, but exactly, the key man insurance, I mean, that's a huge thing if you have a partner. I do believe when you pour your heart and soul into a small business, you want to be prepared for the unexpected, because if you lose it all because you were just ill prepared, or for your friend, I mean, I'm sure that was an enormous setback for him.
Mhm.
Personally, obviously, that's really difficult, but also losing a business is would
Even
be a
more
terrible
difficult.
thing as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the work that I've been doing as I began to recover and realized that my mission really had changed, and it was something that had been on my heart for a long time. I worked with a lot of friends that I knew that, were dabbling in small business or wanted to start a small business. So it's always been on my heart that my mission somehow in the future was going to involve advocating for small business and helping small business owners. But I launched the Venture Project just this year, and my goal is working with small business owners around three parts, which is being prepared and having a plan in place as best as you're able. The second part is knowing your adapt zone, is what I call it.
Mhm.
You, like we've been discussing before, when you need to adapt to things, but really what's your comfort zone? Like, what do you want to do?
Right.
You don't want to be forced into a direction that your gut is really telling you that you don't want to do, but you're doing it out
Mhm.
of either some other obligation, whether it be financial or pressure from another direction. And then lastly is just knowing when and how to evolve. So that's the three parts to the work I'm doing and the mission that I have. But I think that a lot of it involves also listening to your gut. What
Mhm.
are the things that keep you up at night when you think about your business? Like, where do you know, just in having this conversation, you're not prepared if something happens? And what are the things that wake you up in the middle of the night? So I think that working through these issues and getting yourself in a place as a small business owner that you are able to be more at peace with those things. And then you can focus more on profits and where you want to grow. But there's always a nagging what if in the background, or a
Mhm.
concern, I think, for most small business owners, because you're constantly being pulled in a million different directions. You
Right.
know where your weak spots are generally, but it's really identifying them and putting some systems in place to protect your business and yourself and your livelihood.
That's true. So what are some of the things that people need to do to set themselves up for success?
So I do think you need to ask yourself, what would happen if I'm unable to work for a month,
Mm.
or if I'm unable to work for 2 months? Do I have the financial resources set aside? Do I have the proper insurance set aside? Or what happens if my business is taken down, say, by a hacking, or even just your social media? If social media drives a lot of your business, so maybe it's not that your
Mm.
platform got hacked and you have to deal with a data breach with your clients or customers, but what happens if your social media is hacked and your business is taken down? So, or so you need to ask yourself these things. What do you have in place, and what can you put in place right now? There really are a lot of resources, and it's not as complicated as you might think.
Mm.
They're basics, and they really will give you peace of mind and give you the freedom to focus on more profit pursuits. And I do also think that there sometimes a small business may be taken down by, or not taken down, I shouldn't say that, greatly affected by, say, a an unhappy customer that's gone
Mm.
rogue, right? And causes
Right.
an issue across social media, or maybe you have an employee that causes an issue for you. Like, how do you
Can't
handle
say that
that?
hasn't happened before. Either of those.
So
I mean, the first one we had a customer went go rogue once, and he was
yes.
harassing me on TikTok. Like, I wasn't even really on TikTok. The guy made no less than like 30 accounts with my face on it,
See,
saying that my business was a scam.
right. I mean, obviously wrong. It is not a scam, but I mean, right. Like these are
No,
the
I mean, it
things.
was like, it just was so much mental space. And I was like, I wanted to, and then he
Exactly.
wrote like bad reviews everywhere. So if you see like
Right.
really weird scammy reviews, it's probably this guy,
Right.
under a variety of different like names. So he like set up like the level, like to me, little sidebar, like this person must definitely be mentally ill, because if they even put that much
Time
energy
and
into
effort.
their own business,
Right.
they would be getting probably a better result than like
Right.
harassing someone online. But
Right.
little sidebar, if you're someone who like likes to write a lot of bad reviews and you spend a lot of time doing that, maybe focus that energy into your business, just saying.
Right.
But it was so obvious. And then I would like, for about a year, I would get these random messages from people saying like, oh, and they would always have like these weird accounts. I'm interested in your business. Oh, I saw that you were on this scam website. And I was
Mhm.
like, and it's just like, I know it's this guy, it's like
Right.
weird that people would spend that much time and energy. So it was interesting because I talked to my attorneys at the time, and there's
Hmm.
like, unfortunately, there's not a lot that we can do unless they're
Right.
like, they explained it. There was like a couple of things, but they're
Hmm.
like, just document everything. So if it ever needs to go somewhere, that we can bring this to court, because it's so
Right.
obvious who it was. Like, I mean, it was like
Right.
literally so obvious, like even the
Right.
things that they said. And if you look at their business now, it's still not doing well because they didn't want to listen to my advice. So
Right. Right. And
it's interesting.
it's to what end? But it's true. I mean, there's so many outside factors that we have no control over, which
Hmm.
a lot of them are other people. I mean, people do try and take down businesses for
It's so
all types
sad.
of reasons, and it is a really bad use of their energy, like you said. But when you're the business owner, I'm sure for you in that moment, right? It was so consuming
Oh
because
my God.
it's
Well, it was
shocking.
stressful because even
Yes.
though I could energetically like block it, it's like you start to question yourself. Like, and it's crazy because this all, like, if we go a layer deeper, I had to look at myself, like, what was it triggering with inside of me? Because I know those things, like mentally, I know those things aren't true about myself, but what was I
Right.
believing
Right.
in that moment to like actually care about what this stupid guy thought? Because we were
Right.
giving them, like, he wanted it, I don't know, it didn't even really matter. It was just like, at the time, I felt like what we were offering was very reasonable, and like he didn't
Mhm.
want to take it because he wanted to be able to badmouth me online. Like that was the
Right.
whole thing.
Right.
And I'm like,
And
we spent a year trying to help you and you didn't do the
right.
program and you're blaming me for your results. Like,
Right.
I want to be done with you, but here's the deal. And he just wanted to harass me. Like, it's just weird how people are.
I
So
know.
it eventually died down because I just stopped respond. Like, you don't put
Right.
energy into it. There's
You
nothing
didn't give it any
to
more
fuel.
energy.
Right.
But that, I mean, I think situations like that it happen to a lot of small businesses
Yeah.
in a variety of ways. I mean, it really does take one
It's
unstable
consuming.
person. It's consuming. And I think that if you have a plan in place on how that you can sort of implement with a little less emotional energy and just
Mhm.
more from a process, of course you're
Right.
always going to have emotional energy in these things, but if you're like, okay, I mean, I think most small business owners need to have just a plan in place. If I have someone going on a bad PR,
Yeah.
bashing our business, like, what do we do? Of course it's personal, but
Yep.
you need to be able to handle it. And you also need to be able to continue to focus on your business so
This
your
is
business
true.
doesn't suffer of your energy being misplaced. So I think that there are so many things that can arise as a small business owner, and
Yeah.
it's always unexpected.
Yeah.
Maybe occasionally there's some expectation that something
Well,
might happen.
I mean, right now, a lot of people are really worried about the tariffs and like how that's
Right.
going to impact their finances. And I
Right.
was speaking with someone earlier. Did we already talk about this? I feel like we maybe talked about this for a
Well,
second.
you did just mention it about like digging into the facts.
Yeah. So people are concerned about tariffs and they're like worried that they're going to go out of business. But I think that there's a strategic way that you can like really systematize like how you're communicating with your audience or with the people that are
Right.
buying from you. And
Oh,
also there's
yeah.
ways that you can systematize like shifting the design of your product so that your costs go down, so
Right.
that your prices don't necessarily go up. And that's the thing that people don't think about. It's like,
Right.
oh, it's going to be 30% more, but there is a way. Like this is one of my favorite challenges when things were like dodgy in 2007, or when I would get 2007 and 8, or when I would get a big
Right.
order from someone who wanted a deep discount, but they were ordering like hundreds of units. Like, how
Right.
do we navigate this to like create a product that, was perceived as the same,
Right.
but we switched a few minor details that lowered the price point
Right. And
or
that's right.
something
And
like that.
that, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And, or even consider any US made manufacturers,
Yes, which is, I
they're,
think this is what we really need to be focused on, is if you're in the
yes,
US, like focusing on manufacturing here,
yes, I agree.
supporting your
Because
local economy.
on my, with my jewelry brand, I work with a caster, but that's part of one of my brand values. It is American made. So I use a US manufacturer. So there are ways to evaluate all of these issues that come at us. And I think having a plan and being able to strategically think through the issue, but prepare for what you can, really removes a lot of the emotional turmoil. You still have to make
Exactly.
hard decisions sometimes, but if you can remove the emotional turmoil, it sure gives you more peace and I think more freedom with your time and your
Mhm.
energy, and you can use it for making more money instead of
Yeah, exactly, instead of like distracting yourself.
exactly. Yeah,
So
that's
so what's
that's
your
my goal.
process? What Yeah,
I said that's
exactly.
my goal is that yeah.
So what is your process? Like, let's say someone is in a season of wanting to either prepare their business for
Mhm.
contingency or something that might come up, or something has happened and they're like, holy moly, I need to deal with this now.
Yes. So I have right now I have a few options. I do consulting based on 3 month chunks of time is how I found
Hmm.
works the best. If a company wants to start, they have a problem at hand or they want to implement, say, a whole crisis
Hmm.
management plan. And so we'll tackle it, whatever it is, over the course of 3 months. But I'm also doing a one-time meeting assessment for companies that really just have say you want to know how to put a crisis plan in place.
Okay, great.
Let's figure out what it is that I need to focus on and research and implement in my business. And this summer I'm going to be launching, it's basically a membership toolkit where every month I'm going to address one of these topics to build resilience in your business, and there's going to be a monthly challenge. and
Ooh, I love that.
and so you can just kind of eh, take it each issue at a time and start to implement these things in your business, because it can feel overwhelming if you feel completely ill prepared, but each of these topics there are things you can do pretty easily and not take all of your energy in yet another direction. So the membership is going to be launching this summer in June, and we are, yeah, going to be helping people build resilience in their business and put these plans in place. So
I love that. So who's the
yeah,
ideal person to pop in there? Is it usually founders or operators, or who do
I
you
think,
usually recommend it for?
well, I guess it depends on who,
Who's
a lot of
doing it?
founders, but it depends on who has their hands on the pulse of these types of issues, I think, in your
Right.
business. And I think each
Yeah.
business that's a little bit different, right? There's someone that
Mm.
does not necessarily want to focus their energy on these that can feel a little bit boring, but they really are important. So
Yeah.
I think that depends on the business itself.
Yeah. Erin, where can everyone find you?
So our platform is called the Venture Project, and you can find me at theventurepro.com.
Thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the show today. I hope that you enjoyed this. Make sure that you have your business set up for resilience, right? We all need this. Now, if you want to work with Erin, I'm going to have some links below this in the caption. Also, I would love to know what your key takeaway was. So if you have anything that you'd like to share, please make sure that you drop those in the comments below. And more than anything, make sure that you set your business up for resiliency. If you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to hear more, please make sure that you subscribe to this channel and give us a little rating and review. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel, click that little notification bell, and give this video a little thumbs up. All right. Thank you so much for being here today. Ciao for now.